12 species ruled the galaxy, and none of them thought humans mattered. David Webb had waited 3 hours outside the assembly chamber. His suit was neat, his documents were perfect, and his patience was running thin. At 58 years old, he had spent 30 years of his life working toward this single moment. Earth wanted a seat at the galactic table. Earth had earned it, but the Council did not agree. The doors finally opened and a small drone floated out. It spoke in a flat, mechanical voice. "The Council will see the human representative now. You have 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 40 years of observation status, and they gave him 10 minutes. Webb walked into the chamber with his head high. The room was massive, designed to make visitors feel small. 12 platforms floated in a circle, each holding a delegate from a council species. At the center, High Arbiter Somel of the Drevin hierarchy looked down at Webb with 4 cold eyes. The Drevin lived for thousands of years. To Somel, humans were mayflies. "You may speak," Somel said. Webb activated his translator and began. "High Arbiter honored delegates. Humanity formally requests full membership in the Galactic Council. We have maintained peace with all council species. We have followed your laws. We have contributed to scientific exchanges. We ask only for the rights that other species enjoy." Silence filled the chamber, then laughter. Councillor Meyerth of the Lorath leaned forward. The Lorath were tall and thin, with silver skin that shifted like liquid. "The human believes it deserves membership. How charming." Meyerth's voice dripped with amusement. "Tell me, human, how long do your kind live?" "Approximately 80 years, Webb said calmly. 80 years. Meyerth repeated the number like it was a joke. "I have furniture older than that. What could a species that dies so quickly possibly contribute to discussions that span centuries?" The Fenari delegate made a clicking sound that Webb's translator identified as contempt. "Perhaps we should also invite the bacteria. They reproduce quickly. Maybe they have opinions too." More laughter. Webb stood still and let it wash over him. High Arbiter Somel raised a limb for silence. "Ambassador Webb, the Council has reviewed your petition. We find that humanity does not meet the standards for membership. Your species is too young, too violent, and too unstable. Your history is filled with internal warfare. You cannot even achieve peace among yourselves. How can we trust you with galactic affairs?" "With respect, High Arbiter," Webb said, "many council species have histories of conflict." "Histories," Somel agreed. "Ancient histories. Your last major war was less than 300 years ago. You are children playing with dangerous toys. The Council's decision is final. Humanity will remain under observation status indefinitely. You are barred from major trade routes, technology sharing programs, and mutual defense agreements." Webb felt the weight of every human who had worked for this moment. Scientists, diplomats, soldiers, dreamers, all of them dismissed in less than 10 minutes. But David Webb had not survived 30 years of politics by losing his composure. He simply nodded. "I understand the Council's decision," he said. "I would ask the delegates to remember this day. You may find that ignoring humanity is not the same as making us disappear." Councillor Meyerth made another laughing sound. "Is that a threat, human?" "It is a statement of fact," Webb said. "Humans are very good at surviving. We are even better at remembering." He turned and walked out of the chamber without waiting to be dismissed. The doors closed behind him, cutting off the sound of alien voices discussing how amusing the human had been. Admiral Priya Sharma was waiting in the corridor. She was 45 years old, commander of Earth's small interstellar fleet, and she looked ready to start a war. "I watched the broadcast," she said through her teeth. "They laughed at us." "Yes," Webb agreed. "What do we do now? Just accept it." Webb started walking toward the docking bay. His steps were slow but steady. "No, Admiral, we do what humans have always done." "And what is that?" "We survive, we adapt, we grow." Webb stopped at a window that looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere out there was every human who had ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what was waiting for them. And we remember. Sharma stood beside him. They have thousands of years of technology on us. They have hundreds of worlds. They have fleets that could destroy Earth in a day. They also have something else, Webb said. What? Arrogance? Webb turned away from the window. They believe they know everything about the galaxy. They believe nothing can surprise them. That is their weakness. Admiral, they have forgotten what it means to struggle. They have forgotten what it means to fight for survival. Sharma followed him toward the ship. So we just wait. We do more than wait. We build. We learn. We make friends with everyone they have rejected. And when the day comes that they need us, we will be ready. What if that day never comes? Webb smiled for the first time since entering the assembly. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who knew something that others did not. It will come, Admiral. The galaxy is old and dark and full of things that even the Council fears. When those things arrive, the Council will look for help, and they will find that the only ones willing to fight are the primitives they threw away. The human ship departed from Orinth Station that night. No one watched it go. No one thought it mattered. That was their biggest error. 25 years is nothing to a species that lives for millennia. To humans, it is a generation. Rosa Okonkwo was born in the deep mines of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Her parents worked in the darkness, pulling rare metals from ice and rock. By the time Rosa was 5, she had learned that the universe was cold, dangerous, and did not care if she lived or died. By the time she was 28, she had learned to make the universe care. The Council had rejected humanity. They had closed the doors to technology, trade, and protection. They expected humans to fade away, to remain small and weak on their handful of worlds. They did not understand humans at all. In the years after the rejection, Earth changed. Not loudly, not obviously, but deeply. Human scientists stopped waiting for Council technology and started building their own. Human traders stopped begging for access to official routes and started finding unofficial ones. Human colonies stopped growing on safe worlds and started spreading to places the Council called impossible. Rosa was part of this change. Her parents had died in a mining accident when she was 17. The company had said it was unavoidable. Rosa had looked at the safety equipment and decided that was a lie. She spent the next decade designing shields that could stop anything: radiation, debris, heat, cold, shields that could protect miners, shields that could protect ships, shields that could protect entire stations. She did not know it yet, but she was building the thing that would save. The galaxy. Captain Yuki Tanaka commanded one of Earth's new exploration ships. She was 35, sharp-eyed, and very good at finding places the Council had forgotten. Her orders were simple: go where they tell us we cannot go and prove them wrong. She proved them wrong on 17 worlds. Some were too hot. Humans built cooling systems and moved in. Some were too cold. Humans built heating systems and moved in. Some had poisonous atmospheres. Humans built sealed cities and moved in. The Council had decided these worlds were worthless. Humans decided they were home. By the time Rosa turned 28, humanity had 30 colonies spread across regions of space the Council ignored. They had a fleet of 200 ships, hidden in plain sight. They had allies too, species the Council had rejected just like them. The Brahmith were insected creatures who communicated through chemical signals. The Council found them disturbing and had refused them membership centuries ago. When human traders arrived offering fair deals and honest friendship, the Brahmith accepted. They taught humans about materials science. Humans taught them about music. It was a strange friendship, but it worked. The Ulesi were nomads, wandering the galaxy in great convoy fleets. They had no homeworld and wanted none. The Council called them homeless beggars. Humans called them traders and invited them to visit Earth. The Ulesi had never been invited anywhere before. They remembered. Admiral Priya Sharma was 70 now, retired from active command, but still watching over Earth's growing strength. She spent her days training the next generation of officers and her nights looking at the stars. Rosa visited her one evening, bringing data on her newest shield design. This configuration can block quantum signals, Rosa explained, pointing to the display. Any communication using quantum entanglement, it just stops. Sharma studied the data. Why would we need to block that? We use radio. I do not know, Rosa admitted, but I thought it might be useful someday. My parents always said to build tools before you need them. Sharma smiled. Your parents were wise people. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the cadets practice maneuvers through the window. Young faces, young dreams, young determination. The council still does not see us, Sharma said eventually. A Fenari merchant filed a report last year. He found one of our colonies on a death world, high gravity, acid rain, the whole package. The report described humans living there happily, growing food, raising children. What did the council do? Rosa asked. Nothing. They filed the report and forgot about it. They still think we are primitives who got lucky. Rosa shook her head. Getting lucky once is chance. Getting lucky 30 times is something else. It is humanity, Sharma said. We do not know how to give up. It is not in our nature. Far away on Orinth Station, the council continued its endless meetings. They discussed trade agreements and territorial disputes and scientific funding. They never discussed humanity. Why would they? Humans were insignificant. Humans were forgotten. In the quiet dark between stars, something else was moving. It was old, and it was hungry, and it was coming. The council had not seen it yet. When they did, they would remember all those species they had rejected. They would wish they had been kinder. But by then, it would almost be too late. Sharma watched the cadets and thought about the future. Somewhere out there, danger was approaching. She could feel it the way old soldiers always could. They still do not see us, she said to Rosa. Good, let them stay blind. When the time comes, we will be ready. Rosa nodded. She looked at her shield designs, the ones that could block any signal, stop any weapon, protect any life. We will be ready, she agreed. 25 years had passed. A generation had grown up knowing that the galaxy did not want them. That generation had decided to change the galaxy's mind. The first warning came from a dead world. A Lorath patrol ship was passing through the outer rim, checking border markers that nobody had visited in decades. The captain was bored and counting the days until retirement. Then his sensors detected something wrong. A planet that should have been full of life was now completely silent. He moved closer to investigate. What he found made him scream. The planet had been eaten, not destroyed, eaten. Every tree, every building, every creature had been broken down into raw materials and carried away. Only bare rock remained, covered in strange marks that looked like bite wounds. The captain sent an emergency message to the council. 3 hours later, the swarm found his ship. Nobody heard him scream that time. Within a week, 2 more Lorath colonies went. Dark, within a month, the council finally understood what was happening. Something had come from the darkness between galaxies, something that fed on worlds, and it was hungry. The swarm was not like anything the council had seen before. Its ships were part metal and part flesh, grown rather than built. Its soldiers were creatures that had been consumed and transformed, their original minds erased and replaced with a single purpose: feed. At the center of every swarm fleet was a great organic mass that pulsed with dark intelligence. The swarm thought as one. It moved as one. It killed as one. High Arbiter Somel called an emergency council session. For the first time in centuries, all 12 species were truly afraid. We must combine our fleets, the Fenari delegate insisted. Attack them together before they grow stronger. With whose ships? Councillor Meyerth demanded. The Lorath have already lost 1/3 of our military. The Dreven refused to send forces beyond their own territory. Everyone protects themselves first. Then we are doomed, the Fenari said. The council argued for days, while the swarm ate 3 more worlds. Captain Yuki Tanaka was running supplies to a Bramith colony when she detected the distress signal. A refugee convoy was under attack, civilians from a fallen Lorath world, trying to reach safety in slow, unarmed transports. Tanaka checked her orders. Humanity was supposed to stay hidden. Humanity was not supposed to engage council species. Humanity was definitely not supposed to fight unknown enemies with a single trading vessel. Tanaka thought about her orders for exactly 2 seconds. "All hands battle stations," she announced. "We have people to save." Her crew did not hesitate. They had trained for this. They had hoped for this. Every human in space knew that someday, somehow, they would get a chance to show who they really were. The swarm ships were terrifying up close. They moved like living things, twisting and turning in ways that no normal vessel could manage. There were 6 of them surrounding the convoy, picking off transports one by one. Tanaka attacked. Her ship was smaller and weaker than any swarm vessel. It should not have stood a chance. But Tanaka did not fight like the Council fought. She did not form neat lines and fire in predictable patterns. She flew like a madwoman, spinning through debris, using the convoy ships as cover, appearing and disappearing before the swarm could track her. And her weapons were different too. Council species used clean energy beams, precise and elegant. Humans used missiles, explosives, projectiles, brutal, ugly, effective. The swarm had adapted to Council weapons within days. It had never seen human weapons before. 2 swarm ships died before they understood what was happening. A third was crippled when Tanaka flew directly at it and launched every missile she had at point-blank range. Her ship took terrible damage, but she kept fighting. The remaining swarm ships paused. Their shared mind was confused. This small vessel was not fighting like prey. It was fighting like something that had learned to survive in a very dangerous place. Tanaka used that pause to reach the last surviving transports. Her crew worked frantically, extending shields, creating a protective bubble around the civilian ships. "All transports follow my signal," Tanaka broadcast. "We are leaving now." They jumped away before the swarm could react. Behind them, the remaining swarm ships drifted in confusion, trying to process what had happened. 4 hours later, the transports reached a Council station. Loreth survivors stumbled out, weeping with relief. They told everyone who would listen about the ship that had saved them. The small, strange ship with primitive weapons and a crew that fought like nothing they had ever seen. "Who were they?" the station commander asked. An old Loreth woman looked at him with wonder in her eyes. "Humans," she said. "They were humans, and they came back for us." The station commander sent a report to the Council. This time, nobody laughed. This time, people listened. On Orinth Station, High Arbiter Somel read the report 3 times. A single human ship had done what a Loreth battle group could not. A single human crew had faced the swarm and survived. He remembered a human ambassador who had stood in this very chamber years ago. A man who had warned that ignoring humanity was a mistake. A man who had said humans were very good at surviving. Somel had not listened then. Perhaps it was time to listen now. But the Council was proud, and pride was hard to swallow. They would wait a little longer, lose a few more worlds before they admitted the truth. Humanity had been right all along. The Council envoy arrived on Earth expecting primitives. He found something else entirely. His name was Vorsilith, and he was an important Dreven diplomat. He had been chosen for this mission because he was calm, intelligent, and completely loyal to the Council. His orders were simple: convince the humans to share their weapons, then leave. Do not promise anything. Do not apologize for anything. Humans should be grateful that the Council was speaking to them at all. Vorsilith's confidence lasted until he saw Earth from orbit. The planet was covered in lights. Cities stretched across continents. Orbital stations circled like jewels. Ships came and went constantly, more ships than the Council had reported, more technology than the Council had believed possible. 25 years ago, Earth had been a small, struggling world. Now it was the heart of a growing civilization. David Webb met the envoy in a simple conference room. No grand halls, no impressive displays. Just a table, some chairs, and an old man who had been waiting for this moment for a quarter century. Webb was 83 now. His hair was white, his hands trembled slightly, but his eyes were sharp as ever. He had been Earth's ambassador to the Council when they rejected humanity. He had promised that humanity would remember. He had kept that promise. Vorseeleth, Webb said politely. Please sit. Would you like refreshments? The Dreven sat stiffly. I am here on official business, Ambassador. The Council requests information about your weapons technology. The swarm threatens all civilized species. Sharing your defensive capabilities would be beneficial for everyone. Webb smiled. The Council requests, that is an interesting choice of words, not asks, not offers to trade, requests. The situation is urgent. It has been urgent for 6 months. The Council chose to handle it alone. How is that working? Vorseeleth's upper limbs twitched, a sign of irritation. The swarm has proven more dangerous than anticipated. Your intervention in the refugee incident showed that human technology may have some value. The Council is willing to consider closer cooperation. Willing to consider, Webb repeated the words slowly. 25 years ago, I stood before the Council and asked for membership. Your people laughed at me. Councillor Meyerth asked if we should invite bacteria to join as well. Do you remember that? I was not present at that meeting. No, but you know what happened. Everyone knows. Webb leaned forward. The Council ignored us, rejected us, and left us to die alone in a hostile galaxy. Now the swarm is eating your worlds, and suddenly you want to talk. But you still do not want to treat us as equals. You want us to hand over our technology and go back to being invisible. Vorseeleth said nothing. Here is my counterproposal, Webb continued. Full Council membership for humanity, equal voting rights, an official apology for 25 years of discrimination. And technology sharing works both ways. We get access to everything you have, just as you get access to what we have. That is unacceptable, Vorseeleth said immediately. The Council cannot simply admit humanity as a full member during a crisis. There are procedures, evaluations. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Webb stood up. Thank you for visiting Earth, Envoy. I hope your journey home is pleasant. Vorseeleth stared at him. You would let the galaxy burn over pride. I would let the galaxy learn from its mistakes. Humanity is not responsible for the swarm. Humanity is not responsible for the Council's failures. We offered friendship once and were rejected. We will offer it again, but only on equal terms. The envoy left Earth empty-handed. Meanwhile, in a military facility deep underground, Rosa Okonkwo was explaining the swarm to Earth's Defense Council. They share one mind, she said, pointing to diagrams on the wall. Every swarm ship, every swarm soldier is connected through quantum signals. They think together, react together, learn together. That is why they adapt so quickly to new weapons. One ship learns, and instantly all ships know. Admiral Chen, the current fleet commander, frowned. So how do we beat them? Rosa smiled. We break their connection. My shields can block quantum signals. If we deploy them across a battle area, the swarm ships become isolated. They lose coordination. They become confused. Confused is not dead. No, but confused is vulnerable, and there is something else. Rosa changed the display. Council species fight at range. They never get close to enemy ships. But the swarm's weak point is inside, a central organic core that controls each vessel. If we could board swarm ships and destroy those cores. Board them? Chen looked skeptical. No one has ever boarded a swarm ship. No one has ever tried. Humans are good at getting into places we are not supposed to be. We have been doing it our whole history. Back on Orinth Station, things were getting worse. 2 more worlds fell to the swarm. The Fenari delegate collapsed from stress during a council session. Evacuation orders were issued for all non-essential personnel. Councillor Meyerth sent a secret message to David Webb. The message was simple. What would it take to get human help without the full Council's approval? Webb's reply was equally simple. We do not deal in secrets, Councillor. When your people are ready to ask properly, we will be ready to answer. Meyerth stared at the message for a long time. Then he looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the swarm was coming. Somewhere out there, humans were waiting. Pride was a luxury the Council could no longer afford. He began drafting a new proposal for the full assembly. It was time to ask properly. The swarm came for Orinth like a wave of death. Sensors detected them first, thousands of signals emerging from dark space, moving toward the station in perfect formation. The numbers were impossible. The Council had destroyed hundreds of swarm ships over the past months. It had not mattered. For every vessel they killed, 10 more appeared. High Arbiter Somel watched the sensor display with 4 eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. In his 2,000 years of life, he had never felt fear like this. All fleets engage the enemy, he ordered. The Council's combined military was the largest force in known history. Ships from 12 species formed a wall of weapons between Orinth and the approaching swarm. Commanders who had argued for centuries now fought side by side. It was not enough. The first wave hit like a hammer. Swarm ships moved too fast, adapted too quickly, struck too hard. The Council flagship, a massive Dreven dreadnought that had never lost a battle, exploded within the first 10 minutes. "We cannot hold them," Councillor Meyerth reported, his voice breaking. "They are learning our tactics as fast as we use them." Somel watched his fleet die. He watched escape pods launch from crippled ships, only to be consumed by swarm hunters. He watched the darkness grow closer. He did the only thing left to do. "Open a channel to Earth," he said quietly. "Maximum broadcast range. I want every species in the galaxy to hear this." His advisors stared at him. "High Arbiter, the Council has not approved." "The Council has failed," Somel interrupted. "I have failed, now I will do what I should have done years ago." The broadcast went out to every receiver in known space. Somel's image appeared on screens across the galaxy, an ancient Dreven, proud and broken at the same time. "I speak to the humans of Earth," he began. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer a formal apology. We were wrong to reject your petition for membership. We were wrong to dismiss you as primitives. We were arrogant, and our arrogance may cost us everything." He paused, gathering strength. "I ask you now not as the High Arbiter, but as a desperate old being who has watched his world begin to die. Please help us. Whatever your terms, whatever your conditions, we accept. You have proven your worth. You have proven your courage. You are our equals. You have always been our equals. We were simply too blind to see it." The broadcast ended. Silence filled the command center. On Earth, the message arrived in seconds. Human communication technology was faster than anything the Council had ever built. The message reached every ship, every colony, every human alive. Rosa Okonkwo heard it in her underground facility. She looked at Admiral Chen. "Well," she asked. Chen smiled. "You heard the man, he accepted our terms." He activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Jump coordinates for Orinth are being transmitted now. We have friends in trouble. Let us show them what primitives can do." 200 human warships jumped. They emerged from nowhere, appearing throughout the Orinth system like ghosts. The Council forces, what remained of them, stared in disbelief. They had not known humanity had 50 ships. They had certainly not known about 200. Captain Yuki Tanaka commanded the lead assault group. Her voice was calm as she gave orders. "All carriers deploy shield satellites. Create a grid pattern around the main swarm fleet. Engineering teams, I want those shields active in 3 minutes." The satellites launched, spreading across space like seeds. When they activated, something amazing happened. The swarm fleet, which had been moving in perfect coordination, suddenly stuttered. Ships that had been dancing together began to drift apart. Attacks that had been precisely timed became random and chaotic. "It is working," Rosa reported from her command station on Earth. "The quantum network is blocked. They cannot share information anymore." "All combat wings engage," Tanaka ordered. "Time to teach them about humanity." Human ships dove into the confused swarm fleet. They fought dirty, ramming damaged vessels, using debris as weapons, appearing from unexpected angles. The swarm had never faced opponents like this. Council species fought with honor and precision. Humans fought to win. Boarding parties launch, Tanaka commanded. This was the part that scared even the humans. Small assault craft detached from carrier ships and flew directly toward swarm vessels. Marines in heavy armor cut through organic hulls and forced their way inside. What they found was nightmare fuel, corridors of living tissue, defenders that were twisted versions of consumed species, darkness that seemed to breathe. The Marines did not care. They had trained for this. They had volunteered for this. Tanaka led the assault on the command vessel herself. Her team fought through horror after horror until they reached the central chamber. There, floating in a pool of strange fluid, was the organic core. It was not a machine. It was a creature, ancient and huge, with eyes that held pain as old as stars. Once it had been something else. Something that had been consumed by the swarm long ago and turned into a controller. Tanaka looked into those eyes and saw suffering. "I am sorry," she whispered. Then she destroyed the core. Across the system, the swarm died. Ships went dark. Soldiers stopped moving. The wave of death became a field of silence. On Orinth Station, Somel watched human ships sweep through the wreckage. They were not celebrating. They were rescuing survivors, pulling escape pods from debris, sending medical teams to damaged council vessels. They were saving the people who had laughed at them. Somel closed his 4 eyes and felt something he had not felt in centuries. Hope. 6 months after the battle, the assembly chamber was full again, but everything had changed. Half the seats were empty. The swarm had taken many lives, and the council species were still counting their dead. The survivors sat in their places, quiet and humble in ways they had never been before. Pride had been burned out of them by fire and loss. At the center of the chamber, a new platform had been added, the 13th seat, the human seat. High Arbiter Somel rose slowly. His movements were stiffer than before. The stress of the battle had aged even his ancient body. But his voice was still strong as he addressed. "The Assembly. We are gathered to formally welcome humanity into the Galactic Council," he announced. "This moment should have come 25 years ago. We were too arrogant to see the truth. We called humans primitive because they lived short lives and fought among themselves. We did not understand that short lives make every moment precious, and that fighting among themselves taught them how to survive against anything." He turned to face the human delegation. "Humanity saved us. They owed us nothing, less than nothing, considering how we treated them. But when we called for help, they came. When our people were dying, they fought. When our worlds were burning, they bled beside us. That is not primitive, that is noble." David Webb walked slowly to the new platform. He was 84 now, frail and tired, but he had refused to let anyone else accept this moment. He had been there when humanity was rejected. He would be there when humanity was welcomed. The chamber fell silent as he took his place. "I will not give a long speech," Webb said. His voice was soft but clear. "We have all had enough of speeches. I will only say this. Humanity does not want revenge. We do not want to dominate. We want partnership. We want to build something together, something that includes every species, every world, every voice." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of delegates who had once laughed at him. "You ignored us because we die quickly, fight among ourselves, and feel too much. But we also heal quickly, learn from our fights, and feel for others. Those are not weaknesses. They are why we came to help you. They are why we will always come to help whenever anyone needs us." Councillor Meyerth rose from his platform. The Lorath delegate who had mocked humans decades ago now walked across the chamber floor to stand before Webb. "Ambassador," Meyerth said quietly, "I was wrong. I said things that were cruel and foolish. I ask for your forgiveness." Webb looked at him for a long moment. Then he extended his hand, the human gesture of friendship that Meyerth had studied but never expected to receive. "Forgiveness is also a human specialty," Webb said. "We have had a lot of practice." Meyerth took his hand. Across the chamber, the other delegates watched in silence. Some of them were crying. Some were simply stunned. The galaxy had changed, and they were only beginning to understand how much. In the months that followed, the new council took shape. Rosa Okonkwo was appointed to the Science Directorate, the first human to hold such a position. She immediately began programs to share her shield technology with every species. The swarm might return someday. Next time, everyone would be ready. Captain Yuki Tanaka was offered command of a new joint fleet. She accepted on one condition: all crews must be mixed species. Humans and aliens would serve side by side, learning from each other, becoming stronger together. "We cannot build trust from separate ships," Tanaka explained. "We have to work together, eat together, bleed together. That is how humans make friends." The council agreed. For the first time in galactic history, recruitment opened across species lines. Young beings from a dozen worlds applied for positions on the new fleet. They wanted to serve with the humans who had saved them. They wanted to learn how short-lived primitives had become the greatest warriors in the galaxy. 1 year after the battle, a new ship launched from Orinth Station. It was the first true joint colony vessel, designed by humans, Lorath, and Brameth working together. Its crew came from 8 different species. Its destination was a world on the frontier that would become the first settlement of the new united civilization. Rosa stood on the observation deck, watching the ship prepare for departure. Beside her was a young Fenari child who had been visiting the station with her family. "Is it true?" the child asked. "Did humans really come from a death world?" Rosa smiled. "We came from a world where everything tried to kill us. The water wanted to drown us. The ground wanted to shake us apart. The weather wanted to freeze us or burn us. Even the tiny creatures we could not see wanted to make us sick." The child's eyes went wide. "How did you survive?" "We learned to adapt. We learned to work together. And we learned something else, something that matters more than anything." "What?" Rosa watched the colony ship's engines begin to glow. "We learned that nothing survives alone. Your species, my species, every species, we all need each other. The galaxy is big and dark and full of dangers, but if we face it together, we can survive anything." The ship jumped to lightspeed, carrying the future with it. Somewhere on Earth, David Webb sat in a garden, enjoying the sunshine. He was very old now, but he was at peace. He had lived to see his work completed. He had lived to see humanity take its place among the stars. A young assistant brought him a message. The first reports from the colony ship were positive. Everything was going well. Webb smiled and closed his eyes. 25 years ago, the Council had ignored humanity. They had called it their right, their wisdom, their decision. It had been their biggest error. And now, thanks to that error, the galaxy was finally learning what humans had always known. That strength comes from compassion, wisdom comes from struggle, and the shortest lives can make the biggest difference. The stars were waiting. Humanity was ready.